Hello everyone, I'm going to attempt to make a YouTube video today for a quick tutorial on how to do an ombre nail on a press-on nail, and using the scrub method along with the Easy Ombre from Igel Beauty. I have been looking for a method on how to do this for a couple years now, and I've tried a lot of different methods. I've used the gel polish, I've used other brands, different things of acrylic and things like that, and it has not worked for me, at least not to the standards that I want it and how I want it to look. But I've found that this method is pretty simple, and it creates a very nice looking nail. As you can see here, I've done this one, and this is only the third time I've done a ombre nail, and it's looked pretty good. So I'm going to attempt to do this today. I've never done a YouTube video, never done a tutorial, so bear with me. So let me just give you a quick idea of what we'll be using today so that you can gather your supplies. I have my stands and my press-on nail, and I will be using this here to kind of brush off the excess acrylic powder. I will be using this little brush here. It's just a regular little makeup brush I got off of Amazon. I'll be using the Dip and Dab powder from Igel Beauty. This is the DD72 Tranquil Aqua, and I will be using the DD87 Old Terracotta gel polish from Igel Beauty. I will be using their gel base coat, also Igel Beauty. I will be also using their no cleanse top coat, and I will be using the Easy Ombre. And this is the key to the whole look, and to make it look really nice. And also found that the key also is to work with thin coats of all of these products, so that it's not such a bulky nail and it doesn't look bulky on your fingers once you actually put it on. And sorry, excuse my fingers, they're horrible and pudgy at the moment, but I can't work with nails on. I will also be using the Igel Beauty Clear in between for the top part of the nail here. So I'll be placing this part on the bottom for the ombre effect on top of that old terracotta, and using the clear to for the top part, just so that it has a full length of layer of acrylic on the entire nail in between coats. So those are the items that I'll be using, and then I'm gonna use just some coffee liners here, just so that I can contain all of the little mess while I start to use the acrylic product. So we'll just get started, and you'll grab the nail, add your base coat. Let's see here. So I just do a quick thin layer, just so that it does not just so that it doesn't get too bulky, but it holds on tight onto the nail. Now, I have never had to actually buff the nail. I've never had any peeling issues when it comes to like the entire thing coming off. I've had issues with some matte coats before, but I've kind of changed that up and found a different method to do that. But I've never had any issues with the base coat peeling off and like the entire design peeling off of the nail, because it wasn't buff. So I know some people like to buff the nail beforehand so that it has a little bit more grip on it, which you can do as well for that extra grip, but I've never really had any issues with that. So we're going to go ahead and pop it into the light for the 60 seconds. Okay, so now that it's out of that lamp, I'm going to go ahead and put my first coat of gel polish, the old terracotta here, DD87. And we'll go ahead and put the first coat. I like to use thin layers, just so that, again, it doesn't become too bulky. It cures fine in the lamp. And then I also like to do a full cure to make sure it's cured for a full 60 seconds on these. Let's go ahead and do the whole nail. And again, I have never done this before, so it's a little bit of a awkward angle here trying to paint this nail and make sure it's on in the camera lens section here. So there we go. I just let it, I like to let it sit for a little bit so that it kind of evens out a little, so that those lines of the brush kind of even out. And now that that's happened, I'm going to go ahead and put it into a lamp again for another 60 seconds. All right, that's finished curing. I'm going to go ahead and do the second coat here so that it gives it a little bit more of an opaque look. Make sure that you work in thin layers, as thinly as possible without actually having all those brush lines. Just grab the whole nail here. And I just make sure I get the tip here. All right, and pop that back into the lamp for another 60 seconds to cure. Okay, so that's second coat is on there pretty nicely. I'm going to go ahead and start with the scrub method here, and first things first, we'll start with the Easy Ombre. Now this is where you also want to work, well, at least in my case, I want to work in thin layers so that it is not as bulky. You know, it gets too much product on there. So I make sure I kind of take a lot of the excess off when I'm dipping in there, and then just do thin layer on the whole nail. And you want to go ahead and get all the, just a nice smooth thin layer. Just take a look at it, make sure you covered the whole nail, and then you want to make sure you only pop it into the light, the lamp here, for 10 seconds. Any longer and it'll cure it too much and it won't adhere the powder very well. So you're gonna put it in for 10 seconds only. Okay, so now that that's working in the lamp there for 10 seconds, I'm gonna go ahead and prepare this. I use this little liner here so it doesn't kind of, this powder try to contain the mess into this little area here. It doesn't really make too much mess if you're careful, but just to make sure it doesn't go everywhere. So I'm using Tranquil Aqua for Igel Beauty, and this is gonna be the lighter color on the nail. And so now that it has had 10 seconds to cure a bit on that light, we're going to go ahead and go in with the first layer of Tranquil Aqua, and this is the Dip and Dab powder. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of work it in from the bottom up. You want to go lighter on the top and a little bit darker on the bottom so that it can have that nice ombre effect. And you're just going to dab it on to this nail, and then do more at the bottom, and just continue to add more product on there. The first layer, you're going to look at it and be like, what is this? This is not working. It's just not picking up enough color. But once you do a couple of layers on there, depending on the color, I usually can get away with doing just 2 if I saturate it well enough on the first and second layer. So you want to make sure you have more. So after a while, it's not going to take any more product because it's still working on saturating the layer that you're putting on here. So what I do is I just kind of stop for a minute and then just let it soak in that product for a bit, and then Once it's done that, then you can go back in and kind of add more to it and hope that it soaks a little bit more. So you want to make sure that you can get as much pigment on here as possible with the product that you have on here. But again, we're working in thin layers, so it's not going to take too much product. Let's go ahead and see here. I think we're good on that. So I'm going to add a little bit more, just especially to the bottom, because that's where you want most of your color to come in. Let's go ahead and do that. And you can go as high as you want or as low as you want, just depending on the look that you're going for or what color you want to feature on your ombre nail more. So I think this is good for this layer. And I just kind of just keep just pushing it in there, making sure that I'm kind of scrubbing that in there. I think that's why it's called the scrub method, because you're kind of really digging in there with your makeup brush. And let's see, there we go. I think that's as good as it's going to get on this first layer. It's pretty good. It's not too bad. You want to make sure you get those sides there as well. It's pretty good coverage there on the first layer. And I kind of usually tap it on there too to get all that excess stuff off. See, so it looks pretty good. Let's try to get it a little closer to the camera here. Oh, there we go. So that's the look on the first layer. Then we're gonna do a layer of clear on the top here, so that way it's all leveled evenly and you don't have more kind of like a bump here. So let's go ahead and get that in here. So I'm going to set this aside, just kind of push it forward a little, and then I'm going to get my two other liners here. And the reason I do this in the liner instead of in the thing here is I don't want to get any of that blue in this bottle. Don't want to contaminate most of the clear acrylic. I just want it to go into here so that it doesn't go into here. So we're going to go ahead and just grab a little bit. You don't need too much. You're going to need it in layers, so I would suggest to get a good heap of it, but not too much. You really don't need too much. And then you're just going to alternate between the two and kind of go back and forth and dump it in there. So the way that I do it, I just kind of fold this and use it to kind of like just to spill it onto the other one. And then just kind of brush it on this way. There you go. And then it just kind of fills it in. And then just dab it so it goes all the way down. And just set that one aside. And then I use this bigger one here. This big brush, I just got it off Amazon. And then just kind of hit the nail, the little stand there, and it kind of drops most of the stuff. Then I kind of put it to the side, like on the floor or something. And then just kind of put it off, like just brush it out, just so that it's taking all that excess powder off. Now that you've done that, you can kind of see there's still those like satin looking almost, and that just means that there's still a little bit, from what I've gathered, still a little bit of product that you can add on to this. So I let it kind of seep a little bit and then just do that again. I'll just grab this one, grab the one that you just used, and then do it again. And just dump the rest on there. tap it and then brush it off. Brush all the excess powder off. And looks very matte at the moment. And so now that I've done that, I'm going to grab that Easy Ombre gel again. Move this out of the way. Grab that Easy Ombre gel. And I'm going to go ahead and do another thin layer of Easy Ombre. There's still a bit of powder, excess powder there. So I'm just kind of brushing it just to get it all off. And that looks good. So now I'm going to get that powder, that gel again, Easy Ombre gel, and just do another thin layer. You can already see that ombre effect, and this is just the first layer, the first coat basically that we've done. And just kind of brush it on there thinly as possible. Okay. Just kind of get all those little bubbles out. And there we go. Like, you can already see that ombre. That's really pretty ombre, to be honest. And I just picked these two colors because they contrast very well. So you could actually see it. So that's the second layer. I'm going to go ahead and pop this into the lamp for 10 seconds. Again, just 10 seconds. You don't want more than that. All right, let's let that go. All right, so that's cured for 10 seconds. So we're going to do it again. So repeat the steps basically. I'm going to pull this back over here, and I'm going to do scrub method again on here. Let me try to zoom in a bit and see if we can get a better feel for what I'm doing here. A little bit more. All right, so you just pick up some powder, put it on the nail, and you want to focus more on the bottom part so you can have that nice ombre effect. Just pick it up and keep putting it on. A little lighter at the bottom, a little lighter at the top here, and not too much, just so that it can ombre well. And then more at the bottom. Oops. And I'm going to tap that and kind of get rid of that excess a bit so that it doesn't stick there. Now I'm just tapping on it, like not really pushing it out or anything, just kind of tapping. And then I'll make sure that it looks good. Let it seep in a bit. Just kind of need to make that a little more lighter of a ombre. There we go. There. You want to get the sides. The other side. It's nice when you work on press-ons because you can flip it and turn them without having to worry about hurting anybody. There we go. And then I'm going to tap it a bit just to get that excess off. And then I'm going to wait a bit so that it seeps in. So so that I can go in again and add a little more pigment to that bottom. Okay, I'm gonna add a bit more. Just keep dabbing it in there. There we go. I think that I like it enough. And you kind of just keep going until you are happy with your look. And I do like that, like, gradual ombre effect, and where it kind of seems like that darker color is still coming in from that background, because I feel like it blends really well that way. So now I think I'm done there. Tap it, make sure I get all the excess out, and then tap that out. And so this is going to be my last layer, so I don't need this anymore. I'm going to put it away here. And I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to grab the empty one. And then I'm going to grab the extra clear acrylic powder here. Or dip and dab powder, sorry. And then I'm just going to add it to that bottom there. Again, this is so that the whole nail is even and not bumpier on one side, because it has more product on one side versus the other. So I'm just adding that clear. And then I'm going to tap it, get that excess out, brush it so that it kind of blends in well and gets all the extras out of there. I'm gonna do it again just to make sure I got it all over. Ooh, it's out of frame. There we go. Again, just up and down. Okay, and then I'm gonna tap it, get all that extra out, and brush it off. It's pretty. Brush it. All right, and then we're going to get this out of the way. Now you want to go ahead and still do another coat of this Easy Ombre, because the last coat you're going to want to put just clear instead of the color as well. So we're going to go ahead and do another thin layer of Easy Ombre. You can really see that ombre now that it's a little glossier. And just keep doing that. Make sure you get all the little bubbles out. And that should do it. Okay, and then I'm going to pop it into the lamp for 10 seconds. Close this up since I'm done with it. Okay, that's good. I'm going to grab my filters here. And just do the whole nail in clear. Grab the whole thing, so I'm gonna have to do this. Okay, so I grab the whole, tap it to get all the excess off, and then brush it. I'm gonna wait till it seeps in a bit and then do it again. It's looking really pretty. Okay, let's try that again. Dump it all, the whole nail. Oop. Not enough for the whole nail. There we go. There we go. Whoop. Just tap, 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 tap. Okay, and now that that's done, let's brush it. Make sure all the excess is off. Okay, that looks good. There's no stickiness to it, so that's good. Now that that's done, not sure if you're supposed to do this or not, but I go in with the top coat. Let's see. And I have a just a top coat kind of set aside just for this, so that it doesn't contaminate any other projects that I'm doing or any other nail sets that I'm doing, or so it just I just use this top coat for anything with acrylic on it. And then I'm just gonna top coat it. I'm gonna try to do not such a thin line, but not too thin, but not too thick as well. So trying to keep the nail as not as bulky as you normally get when you're doing too many layers of gel or too many layers of acrylic. And just paint it down, get all the bubbles out, and then paint the top part. There we go. See a little bit there. Just kind of getting it nice and glossy. There we go. Just a little bubble there. Let's see if it can get it out of there. Yep, there we go. Oh no, still there. I think it just made it worse. That's good. So I'm gonna pop this into a lamp and do a full 60-second cure. Now I have a UV LED sun UV light. I got it off Amazon and it works perfectly by curing for 60 seconds on Igel's brand. Haven't had any issues with it with Igel Beauty, so it's worked pretty well. So, but I do cure for 60 seconds for this particular gel. Okay, so here's the final look of this glossy nail. Now, when you do press-ons with powder, you have to clean the backing of it. I usually either use the brush and kind of clean it out, or use a little wipe, but I try not to use any alcohol wipe on it, because then it kind of creates like a grit at the bottom. Now, don't get me wrong, for press-on nails, that's great, because if you have a grit here at the bottom and then you have buffed your nail to create a grit on your nail, it actually does have a more stronger adhesion on there, so it lasts you a lot longer on your nail. Now there's a bit of a grit here because of the powder, so I will take just a regular little brush here, and then just not brush, sorry, and just kind of buff it a bit out, and that makes it a little softer, and you don't get that grittiness on the back of the nail here. There we go. And that should do it. Now you can also put a matte coat on this so that it goes matte, like the one that I posted earlier here. I really like the matte finish on this one. I also like the glossy. I usually prefer glossy, but the look on this one, on these two colors in matte, is really nice. I do think that these two colors go very well together. That is the, let's see, it is Gel DD87 Old Terracotta, and the powder again is the Igel Beauty DD72. All right, well, if you stuck with me this long and if this is helpful for you, thank you very much. Hope this helps you.